Hey, what is up, my YouTubian subscribers? Secured here to do my review for RWBY Volume 5, Chapter 6, Known by Its Song. And all I have to say is this was a decent chapter. I have an issue. Actually, it's a meh chapter. It's okay. That being said, let's get on with the show. If you don't know, I do spoil the chapter, so if you haven't watched it yet, leave, come back next week when RWBY Volume 6 or Volume 5 has been released on the Rooster Teeth YouTube channel. That being said, let's go on with the show. This chapter opens up with Crow. Crow's recruiting people. Apparently, nobody Crow knows in Haven is still in Haven. Everyone's either is on a mission and they haven't came back from it. And to me, this means that Leo Lionheart has been sending hunters and huntresses out to get killed essentially by Salem's faction. That means that either the White Fang or someone affiliated with Salem's faction is in fact killing these huntresses and huntsmen in an order to make Haven Academy easier to take once hits the fan near the end of this volume. We then cut away to Yang and Raven and Weiss. They're having tea. Vernell, the Spring Maiden, essentially gives them tea. They then Raven then shoos her away, says, "Go watch the door for me." Vernell then goes and leaves the door, and this is where the biggest issue in this chapter goes. Essentially, we learn nothing new. Yang says, "So what's this truth you're telling me?" And basically she implies the maidens, she implies Osmond's ability to possess people, and when he dies, it's not reincarnation. Here's the thing, some people have misinterpreted what Osmond does as reincarnation. No, he possesses somebody, affects their mind, and then he essentially, it would be like so he possesses the person essentially. What I'm getting at is he goes into their mind, alters them on a fundamental level. And yes, Oscar hasn't, and the thing is, Oscar hasn't fully integrated with Osmond yet, so we don't know what changes are gonna happen. That being said, nothing new. The truth she gives, she confirms all the fan fiction theories that Team Stark was the Team RWBY of their generation. But again, that was, I don't know, it wasn't something that I thought. My biggest issue is it's another chapter where we learn very, very little. It's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Man, we learn nothing new from Raven. This was a perfect opportunity for Rooster Teeth to give the other perspective. No, and when I say the other perspective, I mean someone who isn't Salem. I mean someone who isn't very clearly evil. Something went down, and we don't know what went down. And that's my biggest issue. She said she was going to tell Yang the truth, and instead what we got from her was a bunch of half answers, and not even half answers, but a bunch of questions. And what questions we don't know, she didn't give, are already answered in the series. We knew that we knew about Salem, we knew about the maidens, we knew about Osmond's ability to possess people. We knew all this already. And then she's like, "Okay, fine, if you don't believe me, come outside." She then goes outside. Raven goes outside. Vernell comes in and is like, "Well, are you gonna follow her?" And Weiss and Yang follow her. And we get pretty much a very, very similar shot to when Crow and Tyrion, this lead up to the Crow Tyrion fight. Yang comments that, or Weiss comments that there's a Raven, which confirms pretty much that every time we seen a Raven with red eyes or a Crow with red eyes, that's Crow or Raven. And I'm pretty sure that means that she's been watching Yang, which is good. She's not a bad mom. She is a bad mom. She abandoned Yang. That being said, she's not an evil person. She just has different perspective. She makes she flies around the forest a bit, then transforms into her Raven form, her human form from Raven form. And Yang and Weiss are like, "How the hell did you do that?" because they Yang already knew about her semblance to create portals, and this is something completely different. Raven then says, "Ask Crow, or you can stay. We can have a fresh start, and I'll tell you everything." And then Yang's like, "Nah, bro, nah. I need to go see my sister. I love my sister. I need to protect my sister." And you can tell that really stung. Raven was really, really hoping Yang would stay. She's like, "Okay, whatever. Next time I see you, I won't be so friendly." And Yang's like, "Okay, you weren't friendly this time." We then cut away to Crow, who's commenting that that some of them being on a mission is fine, but it's not normal for all of them to be on a mission at one time, just before school starts. And then he sees the portal. He reacts instantly. He's like, "Raven?" And then he hears the motorcycle, and it's like, "Oh." And then we cut away to Team Ranger. And Team Ranger's cooking supper for Crow and his recruits, and nothing happens. Basically, they burn the food. Ruby burns the food, and then we hear Crow call out for Ruby to come and see. And there's Yang. And Ruby cries, Yang cries, and I love this. This is very, very, I love it. I love it. It was really, really good. I like that they're back together. Team RWBY minus Blake is back together right now. Anyways, the sisters hug, and Ruby apologizes for leaving, and then the chapter ends. Now, it took me a minute to realize why the name is known by its song, and it's basically because crows and ravens, you hear the caw, and you know it's either a crow or a raven. That being said, disappointed. Majorly disappointed. First off, trollolol to all the people who said that this was the chapter where we learned that Ruby is Crow's daughter, and that Raven's big secret is that Ruby and Yang aren't sisters, they're cousins. To all those people, good on you for your predicting. That being said, again, like, that's my biggest issue, is that nothing new happens in this chapter. Like, we learn maybe Leo Lionheart has been getting huntresses and hunters killed so that Haven will fall faster. We learn nothing from Raven. Nothing. And this was, like I said, this is the perfect opportunity for Rooster Teeth to give an unbiased perspective. Or at the very least a third party perspective of the war, of Ozpin, of Salem. Instead, what we got was pretty much Salem's bad, Ozpin's bad, I'm not going to join either side. And then nothing. No reasoning why she isn't going to join either Ozpin or Salem. And that's terrible. Now, basically, it's not good. It's the same issue I had with Blake's story last chapter, where she basically she reiterates something that's already said almost word for word. Adam was a good guy who went bad, then got worse and worse and worse. This chapter we learned nothing new, even though we thought we were going to learn at least something new, and we didn't. Not from Raven. Anyways, and now we're gonna learn what Ozpin did from a biased perspective. Whatever Ozpin did to enable Crow and Raven to transform into birds, we're gonna learn from Crow, who isn't he's an unreliable narrative. This is a guy who does sketchy things for Ozpin. This is a guy who used Ruby as bait. People love to, oh no, he's a good guy, he ain't gonna, but he was willing to use Ruby as bait. Not only that, but it's implied he was doing the same thing to Amber, which got Amber killed. They were willing to rip out Amber's soul and embed it into Pierre Nikos. There's so much sketch that happened. We call them the Oz Illuminati, for Christ's sake. That's how bad these guys are. They're not good people. None of them are good people. They're just better than a demon, grim woman, Salem. than a psychopath like Tyrion. They're just better. That being said, they're not good people, and we had an opportunity to see that from an unbiased perspective, and Rooster Teeth proceeded to miss that opportunity by like 10 feet. And it irritates me because they have flashes of brilliance. Flashes where it's like RWBY is the best anime I've watched in so long. But then you have shit like this where nothing new happens over the course of an entire episode. This is a throwaway episode. This is a filler episode, and in a 15 chapter volume, that there should be no filler. You should always be moving forward, and this didn't move the plot forward at all, because all we're gonna get is another, oh, Ospen's a good person. He may do things that are bad, but no, Ospen's not a good person, and I want to see that from another perspective. I want more than just Ospen dick riding, because he took over a kid, forced the kid to leave his home. Oscar's young. Oscar's 13, 14. If he had taken over someone like Jean, who's like 17, 18, 19, 20, fine. And the person makes a conscious decision to leave, fine. He manipulated a 13-year-old. And I'm just irritated. I'm super, super irritated because I want RWBY to be good. I want RWBY to be amazing. I want more chapters like Lighting the Fire and less chapters like An Unnecessary Sacrifice. And what we got was 2 chapters in a row of unnecessary sacrifice. Just pure, unmitigated fluff, filler, and that shouldn't happen. I would honestly, if it meant that we moved the plot forward, I would have rather been in Menagerie right now. Had we seen that they're getting the troops ready, had we seen how they're gonna get over the ocean to Haven, the Haven side of the continent, or the Haven continent, or country, I guess, because it looks like there's multiple countries in that continent. That being said, I'm getting off topic. Instead of this, I would have preferred if they cut back to Raven and Yang. And then Raven and Weiss, or Yang and Weiss, and they're just shocked. They mutter maidens, they mutter gods, they mutter things like that so we can kind of understand that Raven told them about the maidens, the gods, the things, the magic of the world. Instead, we get more just, it's a throwaway chapter, and it's irritating because I want it to be great. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the chapter. Like I said, it was a meh chapter for me. I still enjoyed it. Definitely wasn't one of Barbara Dunkelman's best performances as Yang. That being said, Security signing off.